All right. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. For those of you who are live, and for those who will be watching the recording, hello as well, and thank you for watching. Happy to have the founder of VLC today, Inche Mohammad Nadzrin, or PLF Nadzrin, who will be sharing with us a few insights about VLC and when he started VLC, why he started VLC, and some of the struggles probably that he went through that made him start VLC. And we're gonna also take questions from you guys. So if you are live, do type your questions in the comment section. So when we look at it, because right now we are in Zoom and streaming this live to Facebook. So when the questions come in, I will redirect them to Nadzrin. So thank you once again for joining us. Thank you once again for watching. So Nadzrin, welcome.
Thank you, Dave.
How are you? I heard you had a training today.
I just finished it, and on the way home, so I dropped by at a nice cafe in Setia Alam. It's called
Okay.
Big Brother and Co.
All right. So
But
training
it's
went well today.
It did.
Okay. I heard some little bird whispered to me that that you were actually showing some of the new apps that we are continuously discovering online in
Oh
your
yes.
class today.
Thanks to you last night for sharing classroomscreen.com. So it was a big hit. I was famous today.
Right. That was really cool, isn't it? Because
It was awesome. It was
it's like
awesome.
it's been there all the time, and we know it, and yet we use so little of it, right?
True.
Yeah.
I'm still amazed. I'm amazed by the amount of apps and tools that are born every single day. And I always tell my participants, you might think that we know more than you, but every time a new app comes out, we're back to zero because we have to relearn from scratch. So it's an interesting journey right now. The only
Yeah.
difference between you and me, I guess, between the participants is that we know that there's a learning curve. We know
Yeah.
it's difficult to learn, so we do our best to try and shorten that, and we do
Yes.
it with a lot of energy and just have fun. That's how
Yeah.
you learn.
And then one thing I really like is the fact that we actually have a community, and a community you help start and help build, and and I think to date we have just a little under 200 people who have joined us. Some more
I
active.
like an exact number, so it's about 166 right now.
166. Okay, that's pretty good number, yeah. And many of them, or a good number of them, being very involved in their own work, and the other group who are actually very involved in the community and who's helping all of us constantly learn. The facilitators themselves constantly learn and improve and impart this knowledge back to the general public. And I think that's a good thing, because if you leave it to one person, I think it's impossible for one person to continuously keep up with all the new apps that's coming up, the new changes in the old apps that's been around.
I agree. I mean, the this is no longer the age of one person knows everything. So we need to work together to be able to help teach each other, especially the apps, right? When you talk about engagement apps or collaboration apps like Mentimeter, Kahoot, we know this stuff. There's
Yeah,
always something new coming up, but the creativity of how you use it in your session,
correct.
that's the one that makes or breaks it. And
Sure.
and I like to remind people of the adage that Professor Abdul Karim alias taught us as VLCs, that a
Mhm.
fool with a tool is still a fool. You can have
Yes,
the best
indeed.
tool in the world, but you don't know how to use it, you don't know how creative you are with it, you will not be able to make it work in your sessions.
Yes, correct. And I think that's also what collectively we all learned since March, especially, where using the tool that we learn, and even if we don't know the tool in its entirety, but knowing parts of it and embedding the creativity in it actually makes it look very interesting. Like for instance, I'm using a virtual background right
I'm
now.
still jealous. I'm still jealous of your background.
This is just a normal picture of a bookcase, and I have my social handles typed into it using a design software. It's like, I don't know, a 40-minute work, but I get to use it for a long time. So I don't have to keep reminding people what my social handles are. It's all right there, and hopefully it gets some traction. Yeah. So as I was saying, that the tools that we use, we don't have to really know everything about an app, but if you are just creative, look around, what others are doing, and get some ideas from there. Use some of your own creativity. You can actually come up with amazing things. And I think I shared with you this a couple of months ago, where I had a friend who actually used his virtual background
Hmm?
as his presentation screen. You can use either your videos in your virtual background, or just sit on one side of your screen and have
Yeah.
one side kind of being your PowerPoint. So as he was teaching, he was just changing virtual backgrounds, which kind of made it look like he was changing PowerPoint
Yeah.
slides. So creativity in that sense actually really does help and makes you stand out.
And that's the best part when you use the word creativity, that the virtual background was not designed for that purpose, and yet people can use it.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to figure out not only the strengths of the tool, but the
Hmm.
limits of the tool. And when you know the limits of the tool, you can push it all the way to that limit.
Yes, definitely. All right. So for those who are still who are joining us right now in Facebook Live, welcome, and it's good to have you join us, and thank you for joining us. And today we have with us Nadzrin, as I call him, or PLF Mohammad Nadzrin, and he's the founder of VLC, the program that everyone's talking about on virtual facilitation. And while we all know that virtual facilitation in everyone's dictionary is different, and it means that, or it doesn't mean that just going virtually means that you're going to be effective. Now, getting the job done, sometimes most of us can do it effortlessly. Get into a Zoom call, do your trainings, do your classes, do your teachings, do your coachings. Yes, all of us can do that, and I'm not against that. But what we are concerned with is also what your audience is experiencing. All right, are they truly happy being in that 1 hour, 3 hour, 5 hour session with you? Are they truly engaged? Are they truly learning enough to want to come back to the next class with you? And that's where we come in, and that's where we'd like to explore and ensure that the facilitator is equipped with not only the right tools, but also the right methods, the right usage of these tools to create that environment of engagement and effectiveness. And I met Nadzrin. To be honest, I've never met Nadzrin. All right, face to face, that is. We almost met a couple of weeks ago in Rawang, but it somehow didn't happen. So I met another one of our facilitators there. But we will probably be meeting really soon. I think sooner than you think, Nadzrin.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
I
So
like that
I
you
met
don't.
him, and I was his alumni, or the pilot program of VLC. So I'm proud to have come from that group where we learned together and explored together. Where Nadzrin facilitated the whole 40, 42 of us, I think.
It
Uh,
was 40. The
so
first match was 40.
40, yeah, yeah, the whole 40 of us so effectively that the whole 40 of us are still in touch. Many of us have met up even and collaborated, and we are constantly evolving, learning, pushing each other for bigger and better things. So today I would just like to get Nazrin to share a little bit, just take him back memory lane. It won't be right from just March, but probably even beyond that, during his days with Accenture, and how he has actually been um, focusing and basically being involved in virtual facilitation for almost 10 years, longer than I think many of us, right? So I think it's important to hear what he has to say, some of his experiences, and also what happened when COVID hit us and when we had a lockdown on the 18th of March, and what struggles Nazrin went through. I hope he's going to share the deep things that happened to him basically, and let's see what he has to give. So Nazrin, it's all yours, man. Whatever you want to say,
Okay.
share with us.
Thank you, Dave. So the very beginning, I guess there is no right way to say it. I joined a company called Accenture, and Accenture is one of the biggest consulting companies in the world. But I wasn't a consultant. I was in Accenture Learning. I won't call it a unit because the unit has more than 5,000 people, so it's not a unit.
Mhm.
Globally, Accenture Learning does takes care of the L&D, the learning and development aspects for Accenture staff. So Accenture Learning does not bring in external trainers. everybody who teaches is actually Accenture staff teaching their own staff, but
Okay.
not their direct reports. So for example, Dave, you could be from Melbourne, you would come to Malaysia and you would teach a class from all around the world. They would come to KL, they would
Hmm.
come to our learning center, and we would invite you to come from all
Right.
over the world. So we had faculty from all over the world, we had participants from all over the world. But
Mm.
because Accenture now has about 500,000 staff, that's 500,000 staff planet wide, it was impossible, it still is impossible to do training face to face for everyone. So they had to divide up, very critical skills where you would need face to face, and things that you wouldn't need face to face. You could do virtual training. So when I joined in
Right.
2008, that was already culture. You know how
Mm.
people say now, oh, this is the new norm. We're going to have to do virtual meetings with our staff. For those of us who've worked in multinational companies, it's pretty much normal already. It's pretty much a norm for most of us who have experience in that. So
Mm.
when COVID hit, it was there were a lot of people out there who were trying to figure it out. So what a lot of us as
Mm.
trainers, what we needed was to be able to transition virtually, especially when we couldn't teach face to face. We need to learn how to do that online. So
Mhm.
hark back to when I first joined Accenture in 2008, I was already in virtual classrooms. I was learning as a participant, and oh my god, it can become very very horrible. It can become it can leave a bad taste in your mouth
Yeah.
if the facilitator or the trainer does not know how to manage the session well, and it just becomes a lecture.
Right.
And back then they were called VILTs,
Yeah.
virtual instructor led training.
Hmm.
And you got a good trainer, it would be very good. You got a bad trainer, it would be very bad. Then
Okay.
come 2011, I got the opportunity to start doing it myself. I was trained to be able to run a full day of classes online. Now, when you hear that, you go, what, 8 hours?
Mhm.
Yes, 8 hours of facilitated training, facilitated learning with activities, with songs, with videos, all sorts of stuff. Even if you imagine what you do in a real classroom, back then they had figured out how to do it in a virtual classroom.
Mm.
And because we don't have the free applications we do now, a lot of those were pretty expensive back then. There was one called Adobe Connect. Some of you know Adobe Connect,
Yeah.
especially if you've done work with this. But Adobe Connect is very very expensive, and they charge the people who use it. Accenture had money, so they would use that. So that was where I cut my teeth. I was trained in Adobe Connect, and there's so much functionality. We could share screen, we could share slides, we could share PDFs, we could do quizzes, polls, interactive stuff, also all of that.
Okay.
And after I left Accenture in 2015, I sort of missed it because I couldn't do it anymore. So I started doing my own
Mm.
classes, and I picked up Zoom, which was recommended to me by a friend. I originally started with Skype, but Skype is irritatingly non-functional, right? To this day, it still doesn't have a lot of what's needed
Yeah.
to run a learning session. So from then onwards, I did a lot of face-to-face classes, but I
Hmm.
also did virtual classes on the side just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Until I discovered that there's a market out there. There's actually a market out there for people who want to learn, and
Hmm.
usually the time period for learning is about 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. consistently. I've tested several time zones, I guess,
Right.
but 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. seems to be the best for that.
Mm.
And I've just consistently just kept my classes at that time. Then COVID comes. Oh well, before COVID, last year, I designed the VLC as a
Mm.
way to teach. It's like an online TTT,
Right.
as a way to help people learn how to teach online. I shopped it around. I asked anybody who would like to learn. No response. Nobody was interested. So I kept it. I just buried it in my hard disk somewhere,
Hmm.
and then COVID hits. And when COVID hit, um, people who knew that I ran virtual classes, especially the professional learning facilitators, PLF family, people who were part of my trainer community,
Hmm.
they started asking for how to do this, and I coached a few of them, and then word spread, and I started writing articles on Facebook, which I
Mm.
then copied onto LinkedIn as well. People got more interested. Then I put together an ebook, and I guess the turning point was this webinar I did with Pete Pereira. So
Yeah.
Pete reached out to me when I started posting on LinkedIn. Pete reached out to me and said, "Hi, we're doing pretty much the same thing. I would like to collaborate with you," and we did. And we
Okay.
did that 1 hour webinar, which got a lot of good response. And then after that, the request came in, where can you do a course? So I dug out the VLC, I repurposed it, I added on a few more stuff, and I ran a pilot, which was May, wasn't it, Davidson?
Yeah,
It was May.
early
So
May.
the
Really.
tradition in Accenture is to run a pilot 4 times before you would consider it ready to run. So we've just finished pilot number 4,
Yeah.
and the fifth one right now, which is starting next week on the 10th of August, is going to be the one that is full version.
Okay.
At the same time, Dave, when is yours starting? Davidson is also a facilitator of the VLC. He's going to be running his VLC as well. When's yours?
Mine starts this Saturday on the 8th
Okay,
of August, and
right.
by 10th, I will be facilitating, partly facilitating in your session as well on the
Right, cool.
10th. I forget the
So
time though. Sorry, I know
So
it's the
if you want to
10th.
sign up, for Davidson's session, do so before, I think, Friday, right?
Yeah, Friday will be
Friday. So,
the closing date. Yeah.
all right, cool. So and that takes us to today, where we've had a strong family of 166 VLCs, and the reason I started this is because a lot of my own friends, my own trainer friends, couldn't earn anymore. People were shutting down training centers. My own trainer, my own coach, my own personal coach, who lost his income, had to sell food. And he was making actually. See, here's the thing about trainers, right? They are real entrepreneurs, because they teach people how to how to communicate well, how to lead well, how to raise their spirits, so they themselves can do that for themselves. He picked himself up. He created what I can remember, sambal ikan bilis, no, rendang bilis, rendang ikan bilis, and he sold that. And he actually said to me, I'm considering not doing training anymore, just focusing on this business. So that goes to tell you that a good trainer is someone who walks the talk. And I love him because he's my teacher, but I felt bad that I couldn't help him, and I couldn't help my friends who were doing that, who were also suffering from that. So that's why the VLC was born. And to this day, I'm happy. I did not expect it to grow this large, this fast. And and I'm under no illusions that one of these days people will not need the VLC anymore.
Yeah.
So that means the VLC also has to adapt. We need to redesign it to make it better as we go along. You will not see the same course next year as you do this year, for example.
Yeah.
And I think that is one motto that we all trainers should have. Every year we always upgrade. We learn new things. We
Mm.
install new things into our programs to teach
Yeah.
people. So this year, this is what VLC looks like, and it's so far so good. It's been helping people, and
Yeah.
I'm happy. Dave, are you happy?
Oh, very happy. Really, very happy. It's nice to see that after people, whether trainers, facilitators, teachers, lecturers, after having gone through the whole program, which lasts about a month, and they come back to you with their testimonies and their life-changing experiences, because they truly did not expect the community to help them, to push them, and it basically went beyond their own expectations. Maybe you'd like to share with us a couple of stories, which is still so deep and overwhelming for me to see it happen, because when I went through that training with you, and then after that co-facilitating in some of your subsequent sessions, there were some stories that just stuck out, and it was very eye-opening, and to because sometimes we don't realize, because we are not in that position, right? All those participants who joined your programs, they came from various backgrounds. Some were very senior in what they were doing, senior in age, and we also had a couple of people who were, young and waiting to go out there and be a freelance trainer. Waiting to start basically life being a trainer, and they came to learn a thing or two. And to see how everyone had to kind of gel together, and how the younger generation, the Gen Z, the Gen Y, were a bit more vocal, and they kind of knew technology to a large extent, versus some of those who were a bit more senior. We even had people 70 plus, I believe. Yeah,
We have
the
in 78 is
78.
our
a
oldest.
couple a couple of them in that age group who are retired, probably came back, but still have the passion to train. And when COVID hits, they are like, okay, how do I now do this online? I know how to use the computer, I know how to use the browser and get to internet, but how do I teach? And many of them also enrolled. But we do know through that experience that the age group was basically end to end. We even had some 20-year-olds who joined because they just wanted to be effective trainers. And some of these stories, the senior generation were very quiet, so we didn't know how to read them. Like, do they even know how to teach, or what was their level of knowledge, even what was their area of knowledge, because they were very quiet. Yeah, I noticed. And then there was this one person, right? And we did a kind of a run through session with him before his actual live webinar for 1 hour. And it was supposed to be a trial. When someone says trial, it's 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe 30 at the most. And he went on for an hour and a half. And that really opened my eye. And I actually attended his trial. There was like three of us, I think. And I think, Nadzrin, you were actually with him physically there. You actually went to his house to help him. And I was like, wow, this is big, because I was with him for a month, and I didn't, not really a month, 3 weeks maybe, and I didn't see that. But a day before or a week before his presentation, I learned that this guy is powerful, and you just snap your finger and he can talk for 3 hours. That's how much of knowledge he had. The only thing that prevented him from teaching was the tools. And we also had to show him the engagement tools that we taught, and how that makes an impact and how that helps. And he was learning, although it was slow, took his time, but at the end of the day, during his presentation, he just kind of blew everyone away. If you remember him, Nadzrin, there was a few people
Very
like
much
that.
so. Very much so.
Yeah. So,
Uh,
what are your thoughts about some of the experiences we had as facilitators?
I would say that, well, you've told the story already. I would say, I'll sum this up like this. People want to change, but the things that keep them from changing is fear. Number one, there's shyness. There is a lot of excuses like what will people think, right? But if you can help them overcome that, then the self-learning becomes really, really easy.
Yeah.
So I would like to think that the VLC doesn't actually teach you anything new
Hmm.
from a logical perspective, but it gives you that emotional confidence to want to try and again try and again try and again try. Notice I didn't say try again
Yeah.
because you never fail.
Yeah.
What you're doing is you're trying it one time and you go, hey, cool, I did something good, but there's also something I can improve on. Let's do that the next time.
Mm.
And if you think of it that way, you never fail. You're just reiterating, you are improving as you go along.
Yeah.
So what we needed to do for them was to be able to get them to overcome that barrier, overcome that hurdle. And this is the funniest thing. Once they started doing that webinar, which is actually their final
Oh,
exam
really?
is a
It's
1 hour
going.
webinar they have to do, right? Once they do that and then they watch it again, they go, wow, that was good, but I'm not satisfied. So they go and do another one, and they invite their friends. Hey, I'm doing another one tonight. Come and watch. And still not satisfied. They just keep going over and over and over again. Free webinars, left, right, top, bottom, forward, and back.
Yeah.
And where was this 3 weeks ago? Where was this before the course started?
Yeah.
Right.
Correct.
So the idea is if you can help people overcome their fears, and I believe that every trainer, irrespective of whatever you teach, Microsoft Excel, finance, if you can help people overcome their fears to change, then you have done something really, really good. And I believe the VLC has been doing that for a lot of people.
Yes. Indeed. Um, I believe that, as also facilitators, we don't pretend to know everything about everything that we're teaching you, but we are facilitators, so we understand what it takes to be in the position, because we ourselves were there. Some of us have been there longer, some of us have been there for the last few months, but we know what it's like. And as Nadzrin mentioned a while ago, the pilot program was to test how the program is going to be, and we have done 4 pilots, and each program, or in each pilot, the program was further improved with new tools, a couple of changes to make it more effective. And we are right now proud to say that this is not a pilot anymore. It's version 5, or cohort 5, which starts on the 10th of August, if you're interested in having a look at the program and what we cover. But also another thing about the community maybe you want to share, because it dazzled me how the community just forms or self-formed by itself, and the power of how the support, the group support, the group coaching just kind of happened. I don't think you orchestrated all of that or any of that, but you knew the potential of having a group support. Like for example, when I did my first webinar in May, right? It was very different from me. I've logged a couple of hours online, meetings, basic teaching, guidance kind of stuff. But when I had to do my webinar, on one hand, I was there to teach people something new, something I liked. But on the other hand, I also knew that I was being evaluated. I was being assessed, from my environment, my lighting, my sound, my program structure, my program outcomes, learning objectives, all that. So yes, of course, the fear kind of sets in. And am I good enough? Did I make a mistake? And of course, that becomes something that is fearful for anybody when you're doing it for the first time. But the support that I had, for instance, an hour before I was to go online, I had people in my group that I hardly even knew. I barely knew their names, let alone their phone numbers, who are calling me because we are in a group, so they have my number, calling me, giving me encouragement, telling me just don't worry, be yourself, enjoy yourself, do what you do best. And, the tools are not everything. The tools are just what connects you to people. And listening to that just 2 minutes of encouragement before your session made the world of difference. But obviously, once I came online, just like this, we are talking to people. Your audience don't see that nervousness. They don't see that heart pumping really, that fast. They don't see that. You are feeling it because that's what you are going through. But to them, your audience, they are there to hear what you have to share, hear what you have to speak or teach or instruct. And that's what the VLC did to make a difference. You can say many of it was planned, many of it was done by design, but many of the things that happened also happened, and then we realized that it happened, and we kind of put that into our program as something permanent. And that's how the versions got better and better as we got along. Any thoughts of that, Nazrin? You want to add something, perhaps?
Yes, you cannot force that to happen, but you can design for that to happen. And every cohort has happened differently, right? So some cohorts were born really tight, some cohorts not so much, and that's not something you can control. But what you can do is you can put those frameworks in place for people to naturally fall into that funnel. And with all of the knowledge we have nowadays, something we can learn in books and online, the research that's being done into neurology, into brain work, all of that stuff helps us to design our courses better and better. I'll give you one example, right? I saw this on TikTok of all places. I'm still trying to figure out where the source is. But until I get that source, I will say it's still apocryphal. But I'll say this: a researcher, and if you guys want to do the research for me, go and find it online. A researcher wanted to understand if love can be controlled, if love can be managed. So what he did was he hypothesized that self disclosure leads to affection for each other. So he designed a questionnaire of 34 questions
Mhm.
where you would have to answer the questions in front of someone, and then the other person would have to answer the questions in front of you, so that you get to know each other better. So before he published the questions, he tested it on his two research assistants, one male, one female. So they asked each other questions, and they disclosed stuff about their life, their family, their preferences, their values, their beliefs.
Mhm.
And it turns out the two research assistants got married, which means that you can actually now, if they did not like each other anyway, then they wouldn't have fallen in love. But what happened was that framework was there. He tested it out on them. They asked the questions. They answered the questions. If you dig your nose while you're answering the question and the girl doesn't like you anyway, there's not much you can do.
Yeah.
But you can, from an instructional design perspective, you can design a course in such a way that it makes people feel comfortable. It makes them feel confident. It makes them understand clearly. It makes them know very, very certainly what they're supposed to do, what they're supposed to know. So if you understand those principles and you design it according to those principles, then you create that roller coaster of emotion, right?
Mm.
Also, in terms of designing from the running of the course itself, you want to have make sure that you have the participants have a clear purpose, what they're doing, why they're doing it. And every VLC who's watching this right now knows that in week one of the course, we ask you one very simple question: what do you want to learn, and why do you want to learn it? And with you, if you having you answer that question, and all the other participants reading your answer, they go, "Oh, I'm not alone. This
Mm.
guy wants to learn this because he stopped earning and he wants to earn again. I did not. I thought I was the only one. Oh, looks like a lot of people answering the same thing.
Mm.
So we have a common purpose, and then you have a process that you provide for them. A very clear process from the beginning, week one to week two to week three to week four. They know exactly what they're supposed to be doing, what they're supposed to be learning. So there's clarity of that information. And then third is you provide pressure. If purpose is internal drive, then pressure is external drive. You say, okay, you have to submit this assignment by so and so date. All right. These are the things that you can use. These are the things you cannot use. You can only use Screencastify. You can't use Loom, for example,
Yeah.
when you do your assignments. And then last but not least is uh, prestige. Prestige is when you succeed at overcoming these obstacles. So there are 6 assignments, for example, right? Every assignment you do makes you feel better and more confident in your own skills. So by the time you reach week 4, when you do the webinar itself, the 1 hour webinar, and you finish that webinar, right? You click end, you go, oh, that was awesome,
Yeah.
right? So from an instruction design point of view, you can design that in such a way that your participants have that roller coaster of emotion. And if you design your course to be fully logical 100%, they will the learning will not stick. There has to be an emotional element as well. But if you design it only emotional, then you know what happens. People will say, oh, that was a fantastic course. What did you learn? I can't remember.
Yeah.
It was fun, but I can't remember. I didn't learn anything. So
Yeah.
you must have that blend of both in order for people to fully experience. And I like what you use that word, the environment. What you're doing is you're creating a learning environment for them where they feel safe. They feel
Mm.
safe enough to want to learn, to
Yeah.
ask questions that are very very basic. And when they do ask questions basic, you don't go, oh, you don't know this? That's so strange. You actually go, okay, I understand that this is new for you, so let me explain to you. So you give them as much support as possible, the kind of support you want to receive if you were that participant.
Yeah. And it's certainly learning by doing, right? So they don't just
Yes.
listen to you, and that's what the assignments are for, because it kind of forces you into doing. And we all know, in order to when you start, you're not an expert. You have no idea where to even how to even sometimes launch the program or the apps or whatever that we want to show you, but before you know it, because you are forced to do it, you somehow learn it, you do it, you make mistakes, you fall a couple of times, but at the end of it all, it was worth it, because now it seems that you're an expert in it. And that's what your peers will see. They'll be like, hey, how are you so good at this? Where did you learn this? And you'll be like, I don't know. I know it. And then you realize that you have actually transitioned from not knowing it to now seemingly an expert in that. And the people at the receiving end, your students, your audience, your customers, whoever's there on the receiving end, are the ones that's going to actually appreciate what they receive from you. They won't realize the hardships you went through in order to attain it, but are at the receiving end of the outcome of what you went through. Perhaps you want to share with us a little bit on who do you think, Nadzrin, or share with our audience today, who do you think will highly benefit from VLC, the target audience? I know it can be a lot of people, but maybe in your own words, you would like to share a little bit.
I would say the perfect target audience for the VLC is anybody who teaches or who needs to teach a large audience virtually. So if you're teaching face to face, then you pretty much have it down. But how do you engage someone who's far away from you? And who does this right now? Teachers, lecturers, trainers, facilitators, coaches, maybe not so much, because coaches, what you do is usually don't want one-on-one. But
Hmm.
coaches will also benefit by understanding the engagement tools and the engagement concepts. So I would say this, if I'll put it into a statement. If you have lost your earning power because you cannot teach online, then VLC is another feather in your cap. So that when you want to go to clients and clients ask you, so can you run a course online, and you're forced to say no, I can only do classroom.
Mm.
Uh, this is one way for you to say, I can run a blended session for you. Okay, we can do classroom, we can do live classroom, face to face, and some parts they don't have to come into class.
Yeah.
We can do, for example, 2 days workshop, and then for the next 3 months we do virtual classes to top up their knowledge so that they can practice wherever they are, and then we can close it off with another two-day workshop, so they don't have to keep traveling back and forth, back and forth, back and
Yeah.
forth. Because some things, and I'm sure trainers here will agree, some things you cannot teach in 2 days. Some things need to be staggered, like today and the next week and then the week after
Yeah.
the week after, because they need to process it, to understand it, to practice it, and to become better at it before they move on. But
Yeah.
what's normally happens is, because it's a 2-day program, everybody comes, stays at the hotel, and you cram everything in like a communication course. two
Right.
days you cram everything in,
Yeah.
and uh, human beings don't learn like that, right? Some people actually need time to process. I know. I'm like that. I can go for a 2-day course and I go back blur.
Yeah.
I'm blur for about 2 weeks, and then I go, oh, I just got it.
Yeah.
So you need to cater for different types of audiences. And if you are one of those people who believe that virtual learning is here to stay, it will not go away. It will not go away. It might, face to face will still be around, of course. You'll still learn face to face, but usually for very skill level subjects, right? Skill level subjects, meaning things that needs face to face assessment. I need to check whether you can do this correctly or not. But if it's knowledge level only, then virtual is here to stay. You can actually teach knowledge, right? You can run a virtual class for about 5 weeks, and then you close it off with a face to face, where you actually assess them. Okay, based on everything you've been practicing this, you've been learning this, now show me that you can do it. Instead of starting with a face to face, you actually end with a face to face. But if you don't have that virtual skill, then you're not going to be able to offer that to clients. And right now, um, it's about being able to be different. If you are a trainer or a teacher or lecturer and you're not different, you cannot provide a differentiator, I'd say, value add to
Also,
your
also
clients.
in terms of you being versatile and flexible
Yes,
in being able to adapt to both environments, isn't it?
yes.
As
And
opposed to
I'm
sitting,
speaking
yeah.
to trainers right now, right? Imagine you're in the client office and the client says, can you do virtual training? And they're looking at your face. Can? They go, why was that pause there? So if you can actually say, Ken, I've done it. I've attended a 4-week course. I'm certified as a
Fine, yeah.
VLC, right? And when you say VLC, here's the best part. When you say virtual learncaster, they go online, they search for it, they'll find it. They'll
Yeah.
find the testimonials. They'll find that this course has been attended by people from 8 different countries. And next month in August, or not next month, but starting from the August session, we'll have people from the United States. So it
Wow.
is growing fast. It is growing global.
Yep.
The VLC will be running in the Middle East, in Qatar, in a few Middle Eastern countries. We're gonna be running in Brunei. There's talks in Pakistan for lecturers there as well. So it will not stop, because virtual learning will be here to stay. And if you don't get onto this right now, okay, so just I'm not asking you to join the VLC. There are many other courses out there that you can join, but please, please, please do not pass up the opportunity to learn how to facilitate online, to teach online, because it is going to be staying. You can learn on your own, trial and error, no problem. But some of these mistakes can be quite expensive. Yeah, you might lose a client, you might lose participants, they might talk bad about you. So at least start on a good footing. That's what I say.
Okay. Now, I cannot leave this meeting or let you go without having to explore your pricing strategy for this program, because I know we facilitators, you have told us this before. I'm not sure you've spoken about it in public. I'm not sure if you want to, but I'm going to ask you the question. Well, none of this is scripted, ladies and gentlemen. So I've not scripted anything with Nazrin, so he doesn't know what's coming. So can you share with our viewers today what was the rationale behind your pricing strategy, and why for us, the first cohort, your pilot program, did you offer the program at such a low price? And it is still such a low price. The rationale behind it.
Okay, so for those of you who know how I run my programs, public programs, yeah, not in-house programs for clients. In-house programs are different. For public programs, it's usually a brand new program that I design and I run. But I have to be responsible. I have to test it out. The VLC was super untested in May, right? Because I designed it last year and I hadn't tested it out. Usually, I do test programs first. I give them either away for free, parts of them. But since we had to run it immediately, and I I was expecting 24 participants. Suddenly 40 participants came in, and I thought, okay, let's run with it. So the pricing back then was 303 ringgit 30 cent, 30330, a ringgit Malaysia, yeah, and
For an entire
that
month,
is
yeah.
uh, for a
For
month, yeah,
1 month
for
program,
one
yeah.
month. And that's typically how I roll. I will give them a 50% discount of the actual price. The actual price is 606 ringgit 60 cent, and we've reached that right now. But the first cohort, Dave, you can you can tell them the truth, right? The first cohort had typos, had missing content. It had stuff that was not useful. So what the participants did for me was they gave me feedback and said, Nadzrin, you must change this, do this, adjust this, so that I hold to the standard. They were helping me build that standard. So 4 cohorts, right? Every cohort gave feedback, and we just improved upon that. And now it's not perfect yet, but at 5, I'm fairly comfortable running it at full price. And I asked myself, how much would I pay? How much would I dare to pay if I
Mhm.
want to join a course like this? And that's the price I put because I would pay for that out of my own pocket. But if it's more than that, like say, sometimes they go 1,200, 1,300, and I wouldn't pay. If I wouldn't pay that, why would I charge that to other people?
Yeah.
And I believe that that is one of the ways that you can understand your customers, your
Mhm.
clients, your participants. If you wouldn't do that, then why would you do that to other people?
Yeah. Okay, perhaps Nazrin's also, I mean, I think I better mention this because it would probably make more sense. One of the reasons also for the pricing, um, both the initial pricing and the pricing that it has come up to right now, is because we wanted this program to be accessible, affordable by almost everyone. All right, because the idea was to make virtual facilitation a thing everyone can afford, anyone should take part. It's just another program because it was not about the money and more about how we as a community of facilitators and trainers can grow together, especially because of this COVID situation. Um, we didn't want to leave anyone out because they could not afford it or it was not the right time, and there's just too many offers out there. So affordability was one of the key reasons I signed up for this program, if I have to be honest. And 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 it really took me by surprise because what I learned for that amount that I paid, I would have paid 10 times more than that, to be honest, which is probably what the market value is, anywhere between what we are selling it for right now or offering it for and what's out there in the market. So when you look at the price, I don't even want to go through the price right now because it is going to be very, very affordable for what the value you're going to get out of this program. And do you have any parting words, Nazrin? Anything you'd like to say? The link will be
I
available in the comments. So whoever is interested, they will be seeing the link. So I'm not going
Do
to
we have
mention.
any questions from Facebook?
Yes, we will see. However, I think someone I'm not sure if I met her. Rosita Camille has said a couple of things. Uh, she says the program is for lecturers, trainers, facilitators, motivators, speakers. Yeah, thanks for that, Rosita. She 500% recommends you and VLC. And she says it was amazing because she was just with you the whole day today, and now you are here online. So she can't believe you're probably so hardworking. And although we know that you're not hardworking, although you appear to be, but more effective than hardworking, I would say. So thanks, Rosita, for that. Um, Asmi Shamsul Nizam, Sam, I believe. I was with him the whole day today. He says 5 star, right? I would have to echo that. I agree with that. I would dare say 6 stars. I am not the type of person who would recommend any program, simply having been a trainer myself for 23 years. Uh, but this is indeed, even if I have to say, one of the best programs I've attended in both effectiveness and promise of what you are going to get. But I think it's more of the experience of what you're going to get and the journey that you're going to take with your fellow classmate that will make this also worthwhile. So the only way is to join, sign up, and to see what we are talking about. A couple of we have Nurul Blue Eyes. We all know that who that is, isn't it? All right, a couple of messages here. I may have missed a few earlier, but I think they were just more comments than anything else. Right. So sorry, you wanted to say something as a closing, Nazrin, before we end today's live.
I will say what I normally do say in events like this, um, irrespective of whether we're talking about virtual learning or facilitation online or anything, COVID is actually a soft reminder, right? Thank goodness it has not wiped out the whole planet yet. So think of it as a reminder that nothing stays the same. And one of the best ways to be able to change fast is to learn fast. Okay, so without talking about VLC or anything else related to the course, I would say that something else will change soon. This is we in the last 20 years things have been moving really fast, right? If you don't realize it, the iPhone came out in 2007 or 2008. Before that, we had no touchscreen phones. Now we have everything from a touch. Everything is now in our phone, which is ridiculous. We are now running meetings. We're learning online things that I in school. We envision in 30 years from now we'd be learning from robots. But we never thought this would happen, or that it would look like this. We thought we'd be looking at televisions. We didn't think the television would be this big.
Yeah.
So all I'm saying is, be ready for change. And if you're ready for change, and you change faster than everyone else, then you can take the lead, and you can improve fast enough to lead other people, to teach other people to change as well. And if you're a trainer, you're a lecturer, you're a teacher, you're an educator, you're a coach, then it's your responsibility. People who teach have the responsibility to teach other people to change fast as well. And if that's the legacy we leave behind, I'm happy.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nazrin, for spending the last almost 1 hour with us, sharing your insights, sharing with us what VLC is all about, and sharing the journey that all of us went through, and the one that we would like to share with everyone out there, because it's sometimes difficult to put emotions into words, because one needs to feel something in order to experience it. We can try by putting it into words and hope that you get the message of what we are trying to achieve here, and what you should, in our opinion, achieve as well. So thank you, Nazrin. Thank you so much for your time. We will probably meet really soon. And to the rest of you, thank you for joining us today. So that'll be the end of my live Facebook Live today. See you the same time. See you at the same time next week. We'll announce the time, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Usually that's the time next Wednesday. So thank you very much. Thank you, Nazrin, once again. Bye-bye.